Of the man.
All right.
Yeah, just right, right up your alley. When you have a married couple or, a couple that has been together, outside of the obvious, as Dr. Brown was saying, a lot of men say, well, I'm, strong as an ox, hard as a rock. I don't need to worry so much about my health. But how would a mate really get into the head of her man and get him to understand the critical issue of him taking care of himself without assuming that she is nagging?
Gotcha. You have to connect to the emotions of the man, and I know most people think that men do not have emotions.
Of course, none of us do.
But you do. You guys are definitely emotional creatures. But you have to be able to connect to the emotions. So if you have children, then you can say, listen, I want you around for our kids. Our kids are watching you, as you spoke of earlier, Dr. Brown, how the kids are watching. Observational learning is amazing. And when you think about it, that's how we all live our lives. I still tie my shoes the same way my mom taught me. I still drive my car the same way my dad taught me. So those things that you see growing up, that's what you'll do. So in order to get your husbands or significant others to see that they may be an example for their kids, their grandkids, is a powerful thing. It's a great way to get inside the head of a man, to get him connected to what matters in his life. Because sometimes, as men, you guys have to deal with so much of trying to be a provider, protector. And in that sense, you don't feel like you can be vulnerable. But hopefully, if you have a partner who knows how to reach you and knows you, they can get you to that place of vulnerability.
Would you recommend that a wife, for example, reach out to her husband's best male friends to kind of, tap him on the shoulder, kind of do an in run around and say, I'm concerned about, my husband's health. How is he on the basketball court when you guys play on Saturday? Does he still, have the sky hook or is he just kind of doing the slow layup now? What's going on? What is he talking about? Would you advise that?
If those individuals in his life are not doing the same behaviors that he's doing,
then you gotta.
Then absolutely. And if he sees them as influential, someone that may have influence over him or that he may respect, then yeah, absolutely. I think you have to do any and everything that you have to do to make sure that your family is cohesive and whole. And so if that is an avenue, if he has a really good guy friend that he looks up to, or maybe your older brother, or even maybe his father that he looks up to that could speak to him, then absolutely. You just have to do it in a way that he doesn't feel like you're trying to run his life.
Should you have a heart-to-heart, or should this be something that is part of a long-term conversation, or do you need to sit in a quiet place, doors shut, and look him in the eye?
Well, I like to tell people that you have to get into a space of, at work you have staff meetings to make sure that the corporation is functioning appropriately. You should also be doing that with your family. You should be having family meetings. What areas do we need to work on? What are our goals? What's holding us back? And I think you should have those meetings, if not bi-weekly, at least monthly. You should be working towards a healthy family, a healthy functioning from that perspective. So if it's a heart-to-heart that has to take place, then by all means do it. If it's you got to stare them in the eye and light candles and have a seance, whatever it is you need to do.
Ouija board, something like that.
Whatever is going to get him to a place. Because the thing about men is that you guys still think you're invincible. And that nothing will hurt you, which is why when you guys have your midlife crisis, you guys go out and do far more crazier stuff than women would actually do. You start joining bike clubs and, just doing
Corvettes.
Just doing adrenaline things to make you still feel alive.
Reading books, and stuff like that.
To make you still feel alive. So tapping into that, as you were saying, Dr. Brown, that being invincible, it can be a sign of weakness if you're not really taking care of what it is you need to. Some people use that as a defense mechanism. Nothing's going to bother me. Nothing hurts me. I'm okay. In actuality, you're just avoiding the situation. So at some point, you have to get real with yourself. And in my home, we call it having a come to Jesus moment. You have to get to a place of where you have to look at your truths, whether they're good or bad, and figure out, what do you want your truth to continue to look like.
Speaking of Jesus, since you mentioned, and this is a question for both of you, what occasion, whether it's a sniffles or a stubbed toe, have the roles ever been reversed? Once you get sick, once you stub your toe, are you a bad patient? Are you listening to your husband? I met him, so I know how, he's a good guy.
You know what? I'm very blessed. He is a wonderful caretaker, but he does check me. And that's the beauty. Yeah, he does. Because, sometimes I think I know it all. So that's the beauty of being in a marriage, because it's that accountability factor. And so I had the flu like last year, even after I took a flu shot. So I was upset. I was more upset. I was like, how do I get the flu when I took the flu shot? And I convinced myself last year, I'm going to take the flu shot. It was maybe the first time I've taken it, because I was like, I'm going to take it. I'm going to defy all the myths of what they say about it.
Right, exactly.
And then I got sick. So I was irritated.
I guess so.
And I felt like, I still need to do this. He's like, no, you need to sit down. You need to rest. And for the first time, I was like, yeah, you're kind of right. Because sometimes you do try to keep going. If you feel like, if I don't do this, it's not going to get done. If this doesn't happen. And so the thing that my husband likes to use is, if you die tomorrow, they'll find somebody else to do it. And it puts it all in perspective. Puts it all in perspective for me.
That's right. Well, yeah, and let's hope he was only talking about the work, because he just, mourn you forever. Yeah. Is that right?
Absolutely.
There you go. Listen, I want to thank both of you.